Daf Tesamid base. Ilema shlish beso, if it means that he has to spend a third of all his assets, every last dime that he's worth, is elamiyata imisrami leitlasa misa lesa lekula besa. If three mitzvahs come, he's got to buy a lulav, he's got to buy an esrig, he's got to buy hadassim, he's got to buy a sukkah, a skak. Then 3 times 100 is going to be 300. He's left without a penny in his pocket. We never found that a person has to spend all his money, the last penny that he has in his bank account, for the sake of a kaima mitzvah. Elomar avasi behidur mitzvah. The word shlish here is referring to how much he has to spend behidur mitzvah. So he could buy an esrog for 100, and that esrog is a pashut, simple esrog. Now he wants to mekayim zeh kelim yanvehu and be mahada the mitzvah. How much more does he have to add to the value of the esrog in order to? I don't know if you ever saw the movie Ushpizin. Did you ever see the movie Ushpizin? No, you never saw it?
No. I've heard of it, but yeah, no, we never saw it.
So the case was he spent 1,000 shekel on an esrog, way beyond the shlish.
That's a lot.
His buddy didn't know any better. He thought it was a lemon, and he cuts the esrog in half.
I think I heard of this.
Yeah. It on his salad, And the whole movie's about anger, how to control your anger. Anyway, so what happens here is that he has to spend a shlish to the original keren of the esrog for a poshet esrog, and that's what he has to spend in order to be makayim the mitzvot of hidur mitzvah. Now, in a case of an esrog, usually it's not that much money. But imagine a Sefer Torah. You can buy a Sefer Torah for, let's say, I don't know, this is probably not real, but in Shkolim, let's say 100,000 shekel. You can get a Sefer Torah, halvai, right? But that's going to be a Poshet Sefer Torah. You want to get a Sefer Torah, it's Mahudar, that's beautiful, the Ksav. And then, in that case, you're going to have to add 33.3 thousand shekel to buy a Mahudar. That's a lot of money. But now the Gemara raises the following suffix: Boy Rav Ashi, shlish milago or shlish milabar. Right, the word milago means from the inside, and milabar means on the outside. I mean, my mnemonic device for that is bar, like Bryce. The Bryce is left out of the Mishnah, so mibar is always mibachutz. So what's the Gemara's suffix? And the Gemara is going to present a machlokas on this point. Shlish milagav. Shlish from the original value of the basic mitzvah. For example, if, let's say, the original value was 6 dinrim, then he takes a shlish of the 6 dinrim, which would be 2 dinrim, and he adds 2 dinrim, and he buys Lomas Hagan and Esrog at 8 dinrim. O shlish milabar, which means the following: if, let's say, the original esrog was sold for 6 dinrim, he's going to have to add 3 dinrim, such that if you add 3 and 6, you get 9. So the 3 that he's adding is 1/3 of the total price. That's called milabar. B'marava amri b'shmeider of zera ad shlish mishalo. Mikan v'yelech mishal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rav Zera takes the kula over here, and he says he can add a shlish milago, and the rest is on the responsibility of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Let's just see how we translate the word mishalo. And this is based on the Torah's Chaim, who in turn has a Rashi and Masechet Beitzah. Mishalo, mi'amamona katsuv lo lemichyasa. Up in Shemayim, they give him a certain amount of money that he's going to possess during the course of the next 12 months, from Rosh Hashanah till the next year. So Mishalo means that he has to actually take out money from his pocket. When I say his pocket, I mean the money that's given to him by Kadosh Baruch Hu for michya, to support his family for that year. Mikan v'elef, if he adds more than a shlish in order to be Mekayim the Hidur mitzvah, Mishal Kadosh Baruch Hu, he sends the bill up to Shamayim. And Tosas adds the following: Hu ochel peres v'olam hazeh v'keren kayemes lo liolam habo. One second, I just want to see if he tells you where to look in the Mishpat in the Rambam. Yeah, shlish milago. That's the way we said it before. And this leads us to the Mishnah here on the top of Daf Tes Amud Beis. The second Mishnah in Masechet Bava Kamma. Kol shechavti b'shmiraso, whenever I'm obligated to supervise my property, which might be an animal, it might be dangerous, it might be mazik, hechsharti es nizko. If I didn't do my job properly and I didn't supervise, then it's considered as if I set up the nezek. What happened at the end, and there was a damage, is attributed to my pshia, my lack of shmira. If I was responsible only for part of the nezek, then nevertheless, I have to pay for the full nezek. And the Gemara is going to try to explain this. In other words, this is chulin and not hegdesh. And the Mishnah is talking about mammon that was damaged. And you would say that he didn't watch carefully this mammon. Therefore, he has to pay for it. That which was destroyed was owned by another Jew, and he has to pay for it. If, let's say, your mama was mazik, nechasim that has one particular bailim, as opposed to hefker, which has no bailim, then you're chayav. Ubechol makom. And any time that your mama was mazik, and it's nechasim that belonged to a ben bris, to a Jew, nechasim that's privately owned, you're chayiv. Chutz mirishusam yuchedes lemazik. Unless the shar goes into the rishus of the mazik, because the chiv shmira on the mazik, on the bala shar, is only within his, outside of his rishus. Within his rishus, he doesn't have to worry about somebody who stepped in with an animal or whatever and suffered a damage. Rishus hanizak v'mazik, if you have a domain which is commonly owned by two people and the shar of one person damaged the shar of the other person, in all these cases, you have to pay for damages, and the compensation has to come from idis, from maple. Tana Rabbanon, kol shechavti b'shmiroso ichsharti es nizko ketzad shar ubar shemesoron lecherishot v'koton v'yiziku chayav l'shalem mashe ein kein be'esh. The Brisa makes the following distinction: if you own a shar or a bar, and instead of doing the shmir yourself, which the Mishnah says chavti b'shmirason, you handed it over to a cherishot v'kot, they're allowed bardas. That was an irresponsible move, and if the shar of the bar was mazik, then you have to pay. However, in eish, there's a different halacha. So you have an eish, and you gave it over to the cherishot v'kot, and it went out and it damaged, then you're patur, even though you are machshir the nezek. Special halacha in eish. What's the case? If it's a case where the shor was tied up and the bar was covered, and he gave it over to a cherishot v'kata, and the kavase gabi H, what would be a similar case in H? Is a gacheles. A gacheles itself is not burning fire, it's on its way out, it's going to be extinguished. Is maishnocha. Even in the case of shor and bar, why are you saying he's chayah? I mean, after all, the shor was kosher, the bar was mechusa. And it's just like the case of Eish, of gacheles. Ella says, Gemara, b'shor mutar ubar megula. The shor was not tied up, and the bar was not covered. And he gave it over to the cherishot v'katan to watch it. He's chayav. The kavasi gabi shalheves. It's a full torch. It's burning, and the wind is going to blow it and cause damage. This is a Mishnah later on in Daf Nun Tesam. It pays about someone who sent a fire, a torch, into the hands of a cherishot v'katan to watch it. And it says there that he's potter midini adam, he doesn't have to pay. Ella says it means that the cherishot v'katan blew on the coal and caused the fan the flame. Is if that be the case, chayav my time at all bari azeka. So why should it be potter? It says here in the Brisa that the kavase gabi eish is potter. Am I correct? Let's go back again. He's not chayv. Why isn't he chayv? He gave Ashal Heves over to Shot V'Katan. So we're going to have to reinterpret the Mishnah. Olam b'shar kosher bar mechuseh. U'tekavase gabi eish kacheles. Well, in the case of a gacheles, he's potter because it's not a danger, it's not a dangerous thing. Then in shor kosher, shor mechus, it's also not dangerous. And the Gemara answers shor darke linetuke, bar darke lineture, gacheles kam de shovek lema amya via ozla. So in the case of a gacheles, if everything is left alone, unless the cherishot v'katan shepers with it, blows on it, it's going to go out on its own. But in the case of shor kosher, the shor is going to break away from the kesher, and the bar, eventually people walk over the area, and the bar and its kisui will be removed. Okay, then? I'm going to run over to Daven now because, whoa.
Okay. Go ahead, Shkoya. Thank you.
All right, Kol Tov. Thank you so much.